I think it's important, particularly for this audience, to understand how we got here. So from 1960 to 2000, the electric utility industry raised rates by about 0.6% per year on an annual basis, right? So that's half the rate of inflation, roughly. They did a really good job at what they did. In the late 90s, Howard Wenger, who's a employee at SunPower, one of the senior executives, and Tom Stars got together, and because the utilities wanted to experiment with solar, and said, you know what, we've got to do all this stuff. And the utilities said, you know, our meters are from the 1960s. And so they really aren't going to be able to do what you want them to do. We can't put two different meters, meter them separately, bill you separately. And so let's come up with this concept called net metering, because the meters actually do have the capability of running backwards, and it would just save us a whole lot of trouble if you do it. So this is the utilities basically agreeing that this would just be so much easier than putting in $1,500 worth of new equipment, having us upgrade our billing system to be able to handle all this data. You know, let's just let it run backwards, right? Now that we're so successful, you know, they're saying, that was an unfair subsidy. We can't believe that you guys snookered us into doing that. Well, look, I mean, you know, I think decisions that we made 20 years ago can be revisited. There are a lot of folks revisiting how that should work, and obviously we're at ground zero in places like PG&E or in Hawaii, where there's so much solar happening that the utilities are absolutely in the throes of having to figure out what's going to happen to their 100-year-old business model, and should it be upgraded. But the good thing is that there's a lot of common sense, dispassionate people doing government research showing that we're not actually taking down the grid, that we're not actually destroying reliable power, that all of the unfounded claims that they make are actually unfounded, and that there is a reasonable pathway by which we can figure this out. And maybe there's a little bit of a, I mean, Green Tech Media, I think, came up with something where they said maybe there should just be a minimum bill, that you can't go to zero, that you should put in solar such that you're still paying 20 bucks a month to the utility, and that seemed to actually, the math seemed to work out when they did the analysis.